Alrighty, what is up, guys? Aldo here. I wanted to give you a Bitcoin Ethereum update. So let's get right into it. I mean, what I want to start talking to you guys about right now is the 2-week red dot, and this confirms in about 9 days. Obviously, a pretty rare bearish sign. I mean, we could look at. I'm just curious to see if there's an area where the money flow is similar. You had this red dot up here back in 2019. I mean, you came back down a good amount from there, 47%. There's nothing too similar. I mean, because it is a large time frame. In terms of the other time frames, you'd probably map it out somewhere in this area to come down another 30%, which is what I've been kind of mapping it out for the most part. But the main thing we should talk about in this time frame, especially since we're so close into the red, is a potential DCA opportunity, a potential opportunity to start DCAing in. Now, if you've heard me for past few weeks, probably talk about the 12-day as a DCA opportunity. I've talked about that. I said wait till kind of this yellow X plays out on the 12-day. We'll talk about that in a second, but that's kind of getting to playing out, maybe 2 to 4 more weeks, I would say, to really say that it's probably played out. So, towards the end of the year, early next year, a lot of people are still talking about crypto. Typically you see bottoms when people don't care as much. So, I don't think, obviously, this is probably a pretty good opportunity for long term, for the next bull run, assuming that you think we're going to get, a bull run in 2024, 2025, potentially coming up to, making new all-time highs. Yeah, it's probably going to be a pretty good time, especially for Ethereum too, because that typically outperforms Bitcoin. But in terms of waiting a little bit longer, look at where we are right now. If we come down, just looking at the money flow here on this 2-week time frame, that's 30%. So in terms of money flow, 30% from kind of the top there, that would bring us down to about 13.3, 13.5 is the 400 weekly moving average. That's going to be a big point to look at, excuse me, as well. And let's just look at a few of these lower time frames, or a little bit higher in the 16-day. That's one I like to look at because Ethereum does have a red dot on that. It's a good kind of DCA opportunity if this comes into the red as well historically. But what I want to show you guys, actually just the 2-week, again, just to map out, to tell you how long, because DCAing, people like to say the term DCA, and it's kind of a nonsense term a lot of the times. Like, unless you tell somebody, when to DCA in and how long to do it, you know what I mean? Then it's kind of just a nonsense. You think it's going to trend up with time, but we want to be a little bit more sophisticated with that, at least on this channel, I would say. So this was November 2019 all the way to August 2020. So let's see, that was about 8 months, 9 months, something of that nature. So the next 8 to 9 months, once this gets into the red, would be a good place. Now, when could this get into the red? A month into January, and then a good DCA opportunity possibly from January to August for Bitcoin, Ethereum. Obviously, those ones Bitcoin bottoms out. The altcoins take longer to bottom out against Bitcoin. It looks like that's going to happen because they're starting to really bleed against Bitcoin. We got a little pump here, but yeah. So let's look at kind of the lower time frames here. Let's just look at a few of these. And 12-day, like we mentioned, yellow X. Now, it could be another yellow X to the bottom. You could, even in a worst case scenario, you could have probably 3 or 4 yellow X's to maybe even a bottom in February. Who knows? I mean, I think it's going to be quicker than that. But, a few more yellow X's to a potential bottom here, maybe 9,000, these areas around here. It could come down to these areas, absolutely, especially if the S&P 500 keeps coming down, especially as the NASDAQ keeps coming down. Look at Russia. The power grid they're starting to take down. That's not looking good by any means. Now, in terms of DCA opportunity, same thing here. October 2019 all the way to, you give it July of 2020. So a little less than a year. I would say, 8 months is a good place if you want to start right now. Definitely not a bad place. Just would wait a little bit longer, especially with that 2-week red dot. Wait till it either goes away or confirms and plays out. So that's what you have to deal with right there. And if we look at some of these, same deal. This as well. Wait till this plays out. 1 day to confirm. At least wait till this confirms. See what happens the next day. This has never happened on the 10-day. Well, no, it has happened, but obviously this is you kind of got lucky here. I would hope it would be like this. I would absolutely hope it would be like this where you already bottomed out. But it's a little bit different. That was where you bottomed out kind of months ago. Now you made a lower bottom. Usually yellow X's, on time frames this high. It's the first time, what I wanted to say, first time it's had this on the 12-day. Usually time frames this high are going to be, more bearish, And 3 yellow X's there. I could see 1 or 2 more in the 7-day bringing it down a bit more. I could see 1 or 2 more coming down a bit more here. And in terms of your lower time frames, they're not really low, but the 4-day, 3-day, 2-day, some of these, you do have a green dot right here on your 2-day. So that is kind of a good bullish case. However, be careful with this. It could be like here. It could absolutely be like here, or even this. Yeah, this one confirmed just came down. It did play out eventually, but you're coming into, even look at this, coming into kind of the red there. That didn't give you much. Look at when that confirmed. That was a good short signal right there. These don't always give you what you're looking for. These do not always give you what you're looking for. I would look more at money flow on this time frame. So let's move down a little bit here and kind of what I think is going to happen possibly in the short term. Obviously, it's Black Friday. Holidays could get weird, choppy, sideways, weird volatility. Hardest times to trade. I did a few small trades. Hasn't been the best. Been very good the past few months, but the last few days, especially with the holiday, just not the best week for trading. But what I'm looking at right now for a potential reversal here to come down, split RSIs, VWAP curving down, that's a pretty bearish sign. Now, you do have some bullish things on the low time frames that could overpower this. These split RSIs are coming up, money flow coming up in the 5-hour, the 4-hour, kind of like this, money flow still coming up. And then that VWAP is coming down right there. And then you're coming into the red right there. These are kind of split, so they could come back up here. A little tough to say at the moment. I'm in a few trades, but they're small. Nothing too crazy. Money flow kind of looking good there. Usually when it's this conflicting, the best thing to do is kind of just wait, see more of what happens. Usually the split RSIs don't lie too much, especially if you get a red dot on this 8-hour right here. That could absolutely bring you down. It's just a big bull and bear fight. If you do pump up a little bit more, break out of kind of this area, there's a decent shot. You could come up to 17.5. I don't know if you will. That would be brought on by the 2-day, even if you get the red green dot in the 3-day, that type of thing. But right now, my opinion, I would lean a little bit more bearish, just given, especially with the 2-week red dot. So yeah, let's move on to Ethereum right now. And Ethereum, it's obviously in the same ballpark. Just to look at some of the high time frames, I believe the highest time frame that's printing a red dot right now is a 16-day, which I would say that cancels out the case for this being the bottom over here, because that's a bullish div. Now you have a red dot, it confirms in 7 days. That kind of cancels out that bullish div, and you could come down lower. Look at these spiral lines over here. You do have places where you could bottom out. This is a good accumulation phase between 300 and 650, 700. That would be a good place, and I'm waiting. I'm kind of waiting to see if that happens. And even if it doesn't, I don't think we're going to go into some crazy bull run real quick. You're not going to miss out on much. You're probably going to go into another accumulation phase, something of that nature. You're not going to get no 10x, anytime soon with this, unfortunately. I wish it would, but that's just sadly probably not what's going to happen. And then in terms of looking at this, so you got the 12-day. If this comes into the red here, which it could happen, relatively soon, if it's kind of like this even, you're just looking at, kind of this trajectory from where the money flow was approximately. That was a 55% downward thing right there. Top of this candlestick, 55%, that's 600 right there. You could have a nice trajectory downward. Red area, and that would be October 19 all the way to June. So about, an 8-month period, an 8-month DCA period. So I don't think you're there into the prime accumulation DCA area yet. But I think we're getting relatively close. Now, your 10-day, this could be also a decent DCA period, obviously based on this. Obviously this could tell you you're getting either hit the bottom or getting close to it. January 2019 all the way until April 2020, so about a year and 4 months there. So that was a while. That was a while of not too much happening other than this little rally there. I don't think you're going to get that in 2023, unfortunately. I think it's going to be more sideways, more choppy. But wait till this plays out, I would say. Wait till these RSIs get a little bit lower here. It looks like we're going to curve down a little bit lower. You get that break downward, which could happen relatively soon. You got Russia. It only takes one little one little unpredicted event to bring you down. So that is that possibility right there. And then looking at some of these lower time frames, I think money flow could come a little bit deeper into the red here. That would tell, the 8-day money flow would tell you bottomed out. The 6-day though, this is an important one to look at, because this would bring you down a bit more. This would kind of tell you that you could kind of be heading down. That's 57. There are these cases to make. 57 is right exactly to that spiral line right there. I think the bottom will probably either be at kind of this area or even down to the 3s. And that's kind of just my analysis. I know people would say I'm a little bit too bearish with it, but look, even if I'm wrong here, and we wait a little bit, I wait a little bit, I don't think you're going to go parabolic anytime soon. I could just start DCAing in a month or two, start getting to that, especially in January. Now, 2-day kind of coming down with the money flow. You got your green dot here. There's some argument to make for a double bottom pattern to come up a bit. But if we look at some of the lower time frames, like on the 12-hour, VWAP starting to come down here, and especially on the 8-hour, your RSIs are splitting apart. VWAP come down, trend reversal. These aren't always too good, but they give you a little bit. This one not so much, but sometimes they give you a little bit. And then some of these time frames kind of indicative of going either way. I mean, it kind of doesn't know what it wants to do, which is indicative of holidays, weekends, lower trading volume. And then split RSIs, money flow coming up, it kind of still doesn't know what it wants to do exactly. And then if we get to these really low time frames, look like you're bouncing off of the spiral line here. It projects differently in the lower time frames. I go more for the spiral line kind of on the lower time frames. Money flow coming out on the hourly right there. And then money flow coming out in the 30-minute. I think my gut instinct tells me you could kind of come down a bit from here. My gut instinct kind of tells me you could come down. But the bullish case, obviously, with this 2-day double bottom pattern could bring you up a bit more. Bitcoin pumps up to 17. This could pump up 1250, 1330, that area we played around with a while. You could be at that kind of area for some time as well. And I mean, obviously, it would make sense to look at the NASDAQ a little bit, because that looks like we could turn around some more here, come back down. And I believe crypto will follow. And if you look at the 4-day here, not going to spend a ton of time on this, but if you look at 3-day, 4-day, I really wanted to show you, I believe, the 3-day here, actually the 2-day, my bad. It was on S&P 500, the 4-day as the blue triangle. But right here, they get it somewhat. This one got it pretty good there. That one, he came up a little bit higher. It's kind of hesitating here. It doesn't know really what it wants to do, which indicative of the holiday kind of thing. But you're getting these bearish divs, kind of from here to here. That was a nice bearish div for the top, coming back up a little bit. Money flow coming out. I think you could come down. I think you could absolutely come down and make another leg down towards the end of the year, towards the next few weeks. That's kind of my view. Some people would say maybe you'll come up a little bit more, but I think this is ultimately going to come down quite a bit more, especially with kind of some money flow crossovers. I'm curious how the 10-day on this is. You are getting the bullish div right there, but when you go back to recessions, you go back to kind of the .com bubble. I'm not saying it's going to be as bad as this, but see it come up a little bit and then right down. It doesn't give you exactly what you're looking for. So could be that possibility. We'll see what happens. We'll see what happens right now. I'm leaning bearish, Bitcoin, Ethereum. Got a few other trades in as well. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Please like the video. Please subscribe to the channel. Check out my link to BITGET down below. Really good promo going on. And please follow my Twitch. Going to be going live later today. All right. Have a good one. Goodbye.